The advertisement for pants showed a woman depicted as a tiger skin rug. It boasted, "After one look at his Mr. Leg's slacks, she was ready to have him walk all over her." There are teenagers, and they're taking a childcare class. This is in Sweden, and the year is 1964. There's a girl at a zoo in Chicago, Illinois, holding a baby crocodile. This was sometime in the 1950s. A parade of returned fighters from the famous 369th Colored Infantry is happening at the Flatiron Building in New York City. This happened during World War I. Muhammad Ali tries and fails to lift Johnny Coulon, the former bantamweight champion known as the Unliftable Man. Despite weighing just 110 pounds, Coulon baffled people with his clever trick of leverage and pressure points. 1961, Chicago. Indian scientists gave coconuts to the North Sentinelers in 1991. Reverend Louis Farrakhan speaks at the Million Man March, 1995. Meg Ryan, 1995. The Iranian embassy siege happened in London in 1980. Actress and model Elaine Stewart poses at the beach in Los Angeles, California in 1957. The first ever photograph of a woman was taken in 1839 of Dorothy Catherine Draper. Her daguerreotype portrait is the only surviving contemporary photograph of someone wearing the 1830s poke bonnet, a pre-Victorian hat. Photographers and cameramen with equipment were present before a nuclear test at Bikini Atoll in 1946. Koosh balls are a type of novelty toy made from a soft, rubbery material. It has numerous rubber strings coming out from a central core. They were invented by Scott Stillinger in the late 1980s. Vishniak's daughter, Mara, is posing in front of a shop that sells instruments. These instruments are used to measure the differences in the sizes of Aryan and non-Aryan skulls. This is in Berlin, in the year 1933. The photographer is Roman Vishniak. Someone is swinging on the barrel of a destroyed German gun. This happened in the USSR in 1944. Gwyneth Paltrow, Ben Affleck and Liv Tyler in 1998. Street Telephones, Buenos Aires, Argentina, 1984. Folks are outside of the First State Bank of Las Vegas, Nevada in 1905. There's a woman with a beehive on Hollywood and Vine. She's wearing a long coat. She has a cigarette in her hand. The text describes members of the French anti-fascist street gang, the Red Warriors, from 1980. A statue of Queen Victoria is being moved from Alfred Park. This happened on orders from India's first Prime Minister, Jawaharlal Nehru, sometime in the 1950s. A movie date in the 1950s. A squad of German soldiers passes through a Greek village. This happened during the occupation of Greece in May 1941. Tom Hanks having a beer in London, 1997. President Roosevelt's in his wheelchair on the porch at Top Cottage in Hyde Park, New York. He's with Ruthie B. and Fowler in 1941. Bruce Lee is teaching his then toddler son, Brandon, how to use weapons at his home in the 1960s. Amy Carter is posing with her dollhouse and her Siamese cat, Misty Malarkey Yin Yang, in the White House in 1978. In 1979, 21-year-old Michael Jackson dressed as Charlie Chaplin for a photo shoot. He was paying tribute to the silent film star he admired. Washington, D.C., a demonstration of the experimental army tracked vehicle, Model T. It's from the Harris and Ewing Glass Negative collection, and it's from 1920. A policeman detains a child, Cusco, Peru, 1924. A father is taking a piece of glass out of his son's foot at Mays Avenue Camp in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, in 1939. It was one of the dangers of walking barefoot. Christina Applegate and Brad Pitt, 1989. Left-wing Brazilian politician Leonel Brizola holds a submachine gun during the Legality campaign, 1961-62. Punks at the Station, Gateshead, England, 1985. Vladimir Putin, who was 40 years old at the time, is carrying bags for the mayor of St. Petersburg, Anatoly Sobchak. This was during his time as the head of the Committee for External Relations for the city in 1992. There are young women window shopping at Turner's store in Tallahassee, Florida, USA in 1956. The aftermath of the fire at the Jaguar plant in 1957. This is one of the first chainsaw models. It's from Berlin in 1931. Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone, Brigitte Nielsen and Frank Stallone were at Six Flags Magic Mountain in 1987. The Greenwich Village townhouse explosion happened on March 6, 1970, in New York City, United States. Members of the Weather Underground, or Weathermen, an American leftist militant group, were making bombs in the basement. Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan, 1997. The Christchurch College Ball at Oxford University in 1986. John Cleese, wearing chainmail, reads a newspaper. Graham Chapman is smoking a quiet pipe. This is on the set of Monty Python and the Holy Grail in 1974. Lens, France, April 11th, 1919. A man and his wife are living in the cellar of their former home, which is completely ruined. Jane Birkin, 1968. Men from Brooklyn, drafted for service, are leaving the Long Island Railroad Terminal on Flatbush Avenue. This happened in September of 1917, and they were headed for Camp Upton. Lesbian couple Evelyn Jackie Bross on the left and Catherine Barsh on the right at the Racine Avenue Police Station in Chicago, June 5, 1943. They were arrested for violating a cross-dressing ordinance. Pilots Stepanos Darius and Stasis Gurenas with their Belanca CH-300 Lituanica before their transatlantic flight in 1933. Queen Elizabeth II heading to Westminster in 1952. They're loading a jeep onto an airplane. The jeep has 4 wheels and there are 2 people involved. Gloria Stewart from the early 1930s, and she's best known for playing Old Rose in Titanic. The Black Panther Party was doing breakfast programs around 1969. Kelly Lynch, John Travolta and Kelly Preston, 1996. The Beatles with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi at his ashram in Rishikesh, India, 1968. Sharon Stone, 1983. Salma Hayek, 90s. A group of friends is walking about Atlantic City Beach, New Jersey. This was at the time it was a segregated beach in the 1950s. Missy Elliott was most likely creating one of her many masterpieces in a studio in New York City in 1998. Washerwomen along a canal in Milan, 1966. Bill Murray and his eldest son Homer are with Dan Aykroyd on the set of Ghostbusters in 1984. Morgan Fairchild in the 1980s. Men are running from an exploding balloon at Post Field, Fort Sill, Oklahoma on April 2, 1918. Snoop Dogg is smoking a joint while giving the middle finger, just like the icon he is. This happened during a photo shoot in 1999. Wives and mothers of men at the front are being instructed in shooting at the Wakefield Rifle Range in Wakefield, Massachusetts, by Major Portal and US Marines. This took place from 1917 to 1918. Buford Pusser holds a pair of autographed sticks on August 1, 1963. Pusser went through a lot as sheriff and survived several attempts on his life. He was stabbed 7 times, shot 8 times, and even run over by a car. A blacksmith forges a horseshoe. It's around 1859 to 1860. An Eskimo woman with long hair, 1903. It's a traditional rural wedding from around the 1920s to the 1930s. This took place in Subcarpathian Ruthenia, Czechoslovakia, which is now modern-day Ukraine. Dawn Wells in the 1960s. These are mobilised students from Eton College during the First World War. This was in England in 1915. A Polish child is sitting in the ruins of Warsaw after a German air raid in September of 1939. Suffragettes are demonstrating in prison garb with a Women's Social and Political Union in 1908. Napoleon Cerrone, hoop skirt, 1893. Sir Winston Churchill with his son Randolph and the latter's son Winston in coronation robes, 1953. Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip hosted John F. Kennedy and Jackie Kennedy in Buckingham Palace in June 1961. Catherine Leroy documented the Israeli siege of West Beirut in 1982. John Lennon sniffing a bottle of Coca-Cola in 1960. Two drunken sailors are sleeping on a street in San Francisco after celebrating victory over Japan, which was August 15, 1945. The 11th Congress of the Socialist Unity Party of the GDR was held in the Place de République, with its Grand Assembly in East Berlin, in the German Democratic Republic, around April 17 to 21, 1986. In the 1960s, Afghanistan was one of the more progressive countries in the Islamic world. Women could vote, hold public office, and had many of the same rights as men. Adam Faith and Adrian Poster are shown during the filming of the first episode of Budgie. This was for London Weekend Television in 1971. A Whipsnade Zookeeper and Tiger Cubs, England, 1937. Michael J. Fox and Woody Harrelson, 1993. It's Vladimir Lenin, the Russian revolutionary in disguise. He's clean-shaven and wearing a wig. He secretly fled Russia to avoid arrest by the provisional government. They accused him of being a German agent. This was in August of 1917. In 1979, FBI agent Robert Hanssen was assigned to find a Soviet spy. The irony of the situation at the time was that Hanssen himself was the Soviet spy. Children are playing in the poor housing estate of the Gorbals in Glasgow, Scotland in June 1966. There's a couple shopping for a television at Woodward and Lothrop department store, checking out the newest models on display. This was in Washington, D.C. in 1958. "17-year-old Julie Andrews before she was Mary Poppins, 1952. A couple is sharing a smiling photo with their little baby girl. It's from around the late 1930s or early 1940s. Christie Brinkley and Chevy Chase in National Lampoon's Vacation, 1983. Marina Sirtis, who played Deanna Troi in the 1980s. An autogyro, an early plane helicopter hybrid, is taking off from a rooftop in Philadelphia. It's 1930. Elsa Lanchester as the iconic Bride of Frankenstein, from 1935. San Diego, California, 1927 versus 2020. First people to ascend Everest. On the left, Sir Edmund Hillary, and on the right, Nepalese Sherpa Tenzing Norgay. They reached the summit on May 29, 1953. There's an ice table that formed on the seacoast after low tide. This was in the Netherlands in 1963. Matthew Perry, 1990. Maria Whittaker, behind the scenes of Barbarian II from the 80s. Alicia Silverstone, 1995. Che Guevara camping in Ireland, 1956. Robin Williams and Matt Damon are on the set of Good Will Hunting in 1997. Future 35th President of the United States John F. Kennedy at the age of 20 is holding his pet dog, Dunker, in The Hague, Netherlands, on the 24th of August, 1937. A statue of Karl Marx was splattered with mud and paint. This happened after the fall of the Derg in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 1991. A group of cheerleaders are smiling for the camera from the 1950s. A girl is walking down a flight of stairs with a pet alligator. This is in England in 1976. Model Claudia Schiffer in the early days of her career, the 1980s. Matthew Perry and Julia Roberts in 1996. They dated in the mid-90s. Natalie Wood, 1964. A test drive of an antique desk as a mobile office on the streets of Amsterdam. This happened in 1961. Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd on the set of Dragnet 1987. Raquel Welch, 1967. Betty Ford danced on the table in the White House conference room in 1977. Dolly Parton at Dollywood, 1987. A Bosnian woman defending Sarajevo in 1992. Here's what happened. Paulina Longworth, who was 15 months old, was visiting circus grounds with her mother, Alice Roosevelt Longworth, in 1926. Polish Olympian Ladisław Kozakiewicz shows his famous gesture towards Soviet fans in Moscow. They booed him after he won the gold medal in pole vaulting during the 1980 Summer Olympics. Daliborka Stojcic, Miss Universe of Yugoslavia, poses with a JNA MiG-21 F-13. This happened in 1968. A Texan Flying Auto, 1946. Jinshan Temple, a Buddhist temple. It dates all the way back to the Shaoxing period, which was between 1131 and 1162. It's on an island in the Wulongjiang River in Fuzhou, Fujian, China, and this was in 1871. It's the year 1955 and some teddy girls are hanging out near a bombed-out area in London. Betty Brosma from the 1950s,